maybe get the color boss dying. Chance to might be the cold, baby, stay at Miss Joe.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis, and today with me I have Josh Boerman from, am I saying that? I should have asked that first.
You can say it just Boerman. Different people do it different ways is the thing that I find. It's kind of enjoyable. Growing up, I was always like, oh, very normal name. You just say Boerman. But then I realized it's a Dutch name. The real way you're supposed to say it technically is Boerman. Yeah,
we weren't going to hit that one on this podcast. I'll tell you that. But Josh, you podcast also for Worst of All Possible Worlds, and you are on a quest to be on a different podcast every week this year. A very noble quest. How's that going for you?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's the podcast challenge, 52 podcasts in 52 weeks. Baseline goal is 52 episodes of other people's shows. And then the stretch goal is doing 52 other podcasts. For the baseline goal, I'm actually ahead of schedule right now, and I recorded 2 other shows this week.
Nice.
So we're doing okay. Doing okay.
All right. Well, hopefully my pitch to you isn't throwing you off the entire thing, because for this week, rather than do Deadliest Warrior, which I've been doing a long running series on, I decided to dive into the Spike TV archives and pull out 1,000 Ways to Die, which aired originally in May of 2008. So, Josh, did you ever experience this TV show?
Well, I didn't have a TV growing up, and I didn't have cable either. So the short answer is no. The long answer is no. God.
Spike TV was really on one from like the late aughts until about 2015 with some of the most insane programming that ever came out. All like kind of pointed towards people our age, you know, in that millennial culture. This is like, I'm surprised that this hasn't seen a resurgence yet, considering all the alpha male bullshit that, you know, is permeating society at the moment. I'm surprised that the Guns and Titties TV shows didn't come back.
Well, okay, so here's what I'll say about that. I think that this is now a little bit too tame and cringe and soy for the kind of thing that audience now wants. So I can't say that I'm surprised. To me, that actually makes a lot of sense that we haven't seen a resurgence. This is like such a concretely mid to late 2000s type vibe. Yeah,
this is watching Wedding Crashers with your buddies. Something you could do in 2009, but something you cannot do in 2026. Like, it's not going to hit the same. It's not the same kind of deal as it was back then, which is why I like kind of going back and watching these, because of course, like I said, this was kind of aimed towards me. I was in my mid 20s at the time. I didn't have cable either, so I didn't watch a lot of this stuff while it was live and playing on TV at a lot of time slots. So I am experiencing this culture for the first time, which is always kind of fun to do, because also I had never seen like the first Rambo movie until I watched it like 5 years ago or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of things that, especially action movies of the 90s, I missed out on a lot of those because my father didn't watch action movies, so I just wasn't around them. My dad had like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari on VHS. He wasn't watching Air Force One, you know.
I mean, this does feel like very troop-friendly television to me. I will say that.
This is, you know, also full on the time of troop respecting. Like everybody respected the troops. Also, 2008 is when we elected Obama. So there's a lot of change and hope happening, but not on the Spike TV channel. Not if you are being featured in one of these 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yeah, late Bushism, right? That's kind of the era we're talking about here. And it's such an interesting era to go back to, because all of the cultural hallmarks of that time are things that we have largely moved past. And so jumping back into it now is just so anachronistic.
Yeah. Watching like Deadliest Warrior bumpers and when the Deadliest Warriors I have were all ripped from TV, because of course nobody would press that nonsense onto a DVD anywhere. So you get like some of the credits at the end, and you get the bumpers for like next week on Deadliest Warrior, and like the pan that they have to like, okay, we're done with the credits and we're going to do a pan to talk about next week. And the pan that they do is filled with guns guns and women in bikinis spraying water. It's like the Chive. It's basically the Chive, what the Chive was at the time. It's just guns and titties, and I'm surprised bacon wasn't in there at the same time. I don't know if that internet culture had hit yet, but it is definitely it is set in a perfect chunk of amber, but rather than making dinosaurs, it's just garbage TV that comes out of it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our 1,000 Ways to Die. So the format of this TV show is kind of a docu-series, I believe is what Wikipedia referred to it as. Like, it's documentary-like, but also doing a little bit of research into some of the deaths. Not all of them are real. Like, some of them, they just made people up and were like, what if somebody died like this? That'd be fucked up, wouldn't it?
So it's kind of like the beyond belief factor fiction thing of like, all of these things are based on research in a book by Robert Scutch.
Right.
I don't know why I remember that name, but I do. I've watched a lot of beyond belief factor fiction. And it's like, yeah, and also we made some of it up. Don't ask.
Yeah. The opening bumper has one of my favorite sentences in it because it says, the deaths portrayed are real.
That's right.
And extremely graphic. They are not necessarily all real. We will get to some of them. And then also at the end of every episode, there's a way to live. So they talk about somebody who, should have died or was in a horrific accident of some kind, but ended up walking away and surviving. So,
and for those, they use actual real video of a real near-death experience.
Right. And I can see that, like, back in the day, like, now I go to Reddit and, like, the subreddits that I follow, at least 3 or 4 of them are combat footage related. So, like, sure. I'm watching horrific shit happen to people on a regular basis. So, like, watching this doesn't really, like, oh, this, grainy, the grainy video where you can see, like, a date, the incorrect date burned into the bottom, like the old VHS recorders of, like, a NASCAR thing happening. You're like, oh, I'm about to watch somebody get real fucked up here.
I mean, that was honestly the one of the guy getting nailed by that NASCAR and like flying up into the air over his ambulance. That was crazy. And it was even crazier when they like ran it back 5 times and kept playing it slower and slower on each replay.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't put goofy sound effects in on it. I would have, if it was me getting hit by a NASCAR, I would have been like, you better put some sort of like cartoon boing in there while I fly over the hood of this ambulance.
Yeah, I didn't almost die for this to be treated with reverential solemnity, right?
Yes. So each one of the ways of death has a corresponding number. They unfortunately only did 3 seasons of this, so I do not think they actually got to 1,000 ways to die, but they don't start at number 1. They just kind of give you a random number. And each like death kind of accompanies with a discussion with an expert. So they're kind of, I feel like this is also the time when Mythbusters was really big. And we talk about this with Deadliest Warrior, that they're always trying to add like a little bit of science into it and a little bit of like, here's what's going on, here's why this happened.
The thing that I wasn't expecting was that it would be genuinely educational.
Yeah.
Like, I learned a little bit watching this show, which is not something that I was expecting.
Deadliest Warrior, I feel, does the same thing. Like, they, after a while, it's like you can only, shoot a torso with a bullet so many times and learn something from it, but they fuck those gel torsos up in so many different ways.
Oh yeah.
And they have an actual doctor there. They have a very handsome doctor to come on and be like, well, when the head leaves the body, then the man dies. Please give me my check now. So this one does have a little bit of education. They bring on some experts to talk about what's happening and why it's happening. And I'm glad they do, because, it's good to kind of get an understanding of like this person who's dying. This also is a great era of the no-name actors doing recreations of dramatic things. Oh
God, yes.
And you've never seen worse acting. Like, I always think to myself, acting can't be that hard, right? You just go up there and pretend to be something else. And then you watch something like this, like our first one. So these all have cutesy names to them as well. Our first death is called Semicide, and it's number 208. And it starts with a cute couple. Oh, we're going on a road trip. We're gonna videotape ourselves, and they're going to Las Vegas to get married, right? And so you're thinking, all right, how are they gonna die? And they fucking switch it up on us, because in the background, a semi truck drives by and runs over a guy and basically crushes him in half. And so they hear this screaming and they all go running over there. And they have this guy who they have dolled up like the biggest redneck you've ever seen, just going, whoa, whoa, while holding a bloody wrench the entire time.
And in shows like this, you sort of have 2 types of bad acting. You have the self-aware bad acting where it's like, we are doing this zero budget cable TV show. I know that I'm getting my $400 at the end of this shooting day. And so what I'm going to do is just really go for it to the full extent of my ability so that it feels silly and fun and is enjoyable to watch. The other kind of bad acting is what you get in this show, which is people who genuinely can't act. It's incredible.
It's so bad. Like, I know that, like, it's hard to be like, look, you've never actually been run over by a semi truck. So I understand that you don't have experience to draw upon, but I need you to focus in a little bit more. And the problem is, of course, the only deaths that anybody ever sees are also on TV. So they're just going to have to like really ham it up for this. And ham it up they should. This is 1,000 Ways to Die on Spike TV. You're not here because you're going to get some, you know, Oscar award winning acting. You're here to watch a guy get run over by a semi truck and then have a very bored sounding doctor tell you what happened about later on.
But again, I wish that they hammed it up even more. You know, in many of these, it just sort of ends up in that weird situation where it's like, well, it seems like you're trying to actually be believable, but you're not,
right?
Because obviously this isn't fucking real, despite the fact that there's that disclaimer at the beginning of the show that basically says you are about to watch a snuff film, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, and I wonder if like these actors put this on their, you know, demo reels when they send it out. Like, you know, guys,
I sure fucking hope they don't. They're not getting any work if they put it in.
Well, they're getting work there. You know what? If I could live in LA and make $400 a day, I know that wouldn't get me by, but you know, as a little side hustle, like just guy that gets run over by a truck, or you know, happy couple that goes, oh my god, you know, I can't believe this is happening, or construction worker. Our next one here is called Constriction Accident, and we have a very like Czechoslovakian, very hammy Czechoslovakian gentleman who is joining this. He's joining a construction crew. He's got a wife and a kid. The narrator is giving us all kinds of like background on these people, right? Like he really wants us to like, you need to feel a certain way about what's about to happen. He wants us to
be invested in their story.
Right.
Yeah, it really, this is pathos, right? This is a very important part of setting the table for any dramatic story.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to care if this guy dies if I don't know that he has a wife and a kid and he's, you know, an immigrant. He's got a terrible accent that they just like Czechoslovakian. And he went, duh, yeah, I do Czech. I'm Czechoslovakian now, right? This is just, yeah, Czechoslovakian.
I am Czech Steve.
Czech, please.
My name is Steve. Czech Steve. I come from Prague.
Yeah. And so they put Czech Steve into a hole. And they're like, dig this hole some more. Now, again, this kind of harkens back to the bad acting and the set pieces, because it's not just the acting is bad. The set pieces are bad too, because they have a hole that they have obviously dug with a trencher or some kind of digging, some kind of large machine. And then they send this guy into the hole to continue digging for some reason.
With like just a shovel.
Yeah. They have him in there and he's just like, yeah, I make deeper, more hole. Yeah, I make more hole. Yeah. Oh, happy. I make more hole. I'm happy in America making hole. And you know what, Josh? The world needs ditch diggers. So let's not, you know, hurt on him too much.
Back home in Prague, we no have excavator. No. We no have this excavator. We only have our hand. We have our hand and we have shovel and we have hole.
Yeah. So after a little bit of work being done in the hole, after Czech Steve is digging a little bit deeper.
Get in your fucking hole, Czech Steve.
It really feels like they're trying to prank him. Just like, no, dig deeper. And then they're not going to give him a ladder to get out. But everybody loves him. We've already established that everybody loves him. But we've got one fuck up on this job crew, right? Just the one fucking guy. And he's the guy that drives the dump truck while hungover. And today he's driving it drunk. And you got to have that. Okay, so what's going to happen? Is he going to run over? Is he going to like fall into the thing or be crushed to death? Because you don't get the name of the death until afterwards.
Right.
But no, what it is the guy is just doing literally his job, which was apparently now we fill the hole with sand. And it's not the driver's fault. Well, it's a little bit the driver's fault. But on a construction site, there should be a lot of checks. Not just the guy in the hole, but also checks on safety.
You need to have at least 2 Czechs and 1 Slovak on every construction site.
Exactly.
Yes.
No Serbs though. We cannot.
No Serbs.
We can't open up that box.
Croatians we will allow on a per case basis.
Yeah. So the dump truck tips up. It's loaded with 3 tons of sand, and it all falls down and crushes onto our poor Czechoslovakian immigrant here. And then we smash cut to another expert who's telling us about constriction. So they ended up digging his head out, but the guy could not actually breathe in because the weight of the sand on his chest was pushing everything down, and he couldn't take a breath in. So and our experts just like, yeah, I mean, he was probably conscious and aware of everything that was happening. Sounds like a terrible way to die.
That would suck.
But anyway,
that would really suck.
And then just hit it right to constriction accident number 422.
See, this is the issue with this show, and just like the general conceit of this show is the dramatizations of what has happened. They're all a bit shit. And again, they aren't like hammy. They're not quite hammy enough for it to just be worth it on camp value. Some of the discussions with the subject matter experts are kind of interesting when they get into the physiology of it all, but they're not super dedicated to like really going through beat by beat and getting detailed. And there's nothing about the presentation that's even a little bit compelling. Despite their best attempts to sort of ape the style of Frank Miller's Sin City, they really did their best with these visuals.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't cohere, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't. It isn't, like you said, it's not good enough to make it better. Like, it's not, when you get to these recreations, and Lord knows, like on Deadliest Warrior, they do the same thing, but at least on Deadliest Warrior, the recreations you're getting are people like killing each other. So,
right.
That's not hard to do. It's just like, I spray the AK-47, I go, rah, and that's a war movie. Very simple. This one, you gotta put a little effort into it.
I also realized I was dramatically overstating the amount of money these people might be making by saying $400. On further thought, there's no fucking way. These people are making like $40 in a sandwich.
The guy who is producing this is not making $400 an episode. So certainly these people are not. So our next one, Fang Bang. Now we start to kind of get into what this is really about, which is sexual innuendo.
That's right.
So Fang Bang starts with 2 brothers, 2 good old boys who are going to go out, blow off some steam out in the middle of nowhere. They're going to grab some beers. They're going to grab their guns, and they're going to do some beers and gunning. True American style. So one brother is down range, and he's setting up some targets, and the other brother's like, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with him, and starts kind of popping a few rounds off, kind of at his feet, being a bit of a dickhead, being very unsafe on the range, but 7 to 12 Budweiser heavies will do that.
Again, troop coded TV show.
I didn't want to be the one who'd be like, ooh, I could definitely see that happening. Not just this part, but the part where the guy doesn't get shot, but he trips and falls onto a rattlesnake and gets bit by a rattlesnake. Totally out of left field. Oh, by the way, there's a rattlesnake here, and it's going to bite you and you're going to die. And then we get some really great computer graphics of like a rattlesnake jumping up and biting the guy in the belly as he falls.
No, that happened for real. That's real life. These are real videos of real people dying.
We could only and see they didn't have the guts, because when we got to the one who survived, I was like, they're not going to show an actual death on here, right? And they didn't. They're like, oh, we're going to show the people who survived, but we'll get to one where it didn't quite survive. So we then move on to our snake expert. Of course, we have to have a snake expert. All of this is shot in like greater Los Angeles area, so they got like experts around the corner. If they need to find a snake guy, they can find a snake guy pretty easily. Yeah. So they find a snake guy who gives us some very uncomfortable, to me, video of him milking a snake.
Yeah, this guy is like horny for snakes.
This guy fucking loves a snake.
This guy has such a menacing energy about him. He made me immediately uncomfortable from the jump.
Reptile people are fucking weird. I'm sorry if you're a reptile person, but you're pushing against people like this who's just like, yeah, these fuckers hate it. They hate it. They hate me. They hate you. They hate everything, and I love it. And watch me milk this snake.
Watch me grab this thing by the head and just bend it backward.
Yeah, I'm gonna bend it. It's just splay all of it like the fucking Demogorgon out of Stranger Things, and just be like, yeah, so this is Snake. You guys want to see snake drool come out of it? And he's got a little like, yeah, I'm gonna milk this snake for you.
Yeah, there's something libidinal about it. Like, you just know that he's fully hard every time he does this, you know?
I don't think that he's ever fully soft. We'll say that.
You know what? You're right.
All right, let's go to our next one, which is called lesbocution.
Not the lesbocution.
Number 832. Now, I will tell you, this is one that I looked this up because I was like, there is too much backstory that they're giving us for this to be real, and it's not real. This one did not actually happen. The story is that a young woman is leaving after a bad string of relationships with men, has decided like, oh, I'm gonna give into my bisexuality and give this a whirl. And the narrator is giving us like, she's been feeling like this since junior high, and now she's gonna finally act upon it.
And now she's prepared to give in to her bisexual behavior.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some sexy girl on girl kissing and boob touching.
The girls who they have for this bit, they don't look like they're into each other at all. They just look like they're hanging out. It's really funny. Like, they're just like, hi, and that's it.
We're a little bit drunk. What if we fucked? That'd be fun. What if we had sex?
But there's nothing horny about like the way that these actors are interacting with each other at all. Yeah. They just look like two girls who are out on a night on the town. It's so good.
It feels like the lesbian part of this was kind of added post. Like,
I agree.
Rather than say, by the way, yes, you're going to get electrocuted by a light post, but also you need to be like kind of flirty with this girl. Like just a little flirty, just a little hair tucked behind the ear and be like, oh, this is so cute. Let me take my shoes off and we'll go back to my place. That'd be all you need.
That's the other thing. She gets her dogs out, and there's these lingering shots of the feet where it's like, oh my god, dude,
so much feet. We know the writer's thinly disguised fetish on this one. We'll say so. The young lady takes her shoes off, is about to cross the street, steps in a puddle that has exposed wires that are sticking in the puddle.
Feet get so wet.
So gross. You're not getting into my bed with fucking street wet feet. I'm going to tell you that right now.
And we have to see the feet get all covered and wet.
Mm-hmm.
This is so horrible to watch.
With that dirty street water. So many cars have driven through it. So the young lady completes a circuit by leaning against the light post or the stoplight and immediately electrocuting the shit out of herself, dying in front of her very confused lover / friend. Lesbocution. But I will admit, I don't really know much about the way electricity works, but because of the fact that the pole is grounded, wouldn't all of that electricity just go to ground and she would be fine? That is a good question. I don't know if the exposed wire has something else to do with it, but yeah, he does mention the pole is grounded, so I don't know how those work either. I only have inside of my house electricity figured out. I don't know how anything works outside of my house.
Or is it that your body is the conduit between the circuit and ground, and so you are having all the electricity transmitted through you? I think that might be what's happening here.
Sure. I'm sure that we didn't have an electricity specialist on here. We just got like another doctor on to talk about completing the circuit. I mean, he sounded like he knew what he was talking about, so I'm going to go with that. Again, though, this didn't actually happen, but it could have happened. A bisexual woman could have been electrocuted by accident. Stranger things have happened, Josh. Like love bugged. Again, reptile guys, you got to work on yourselves. Love bugged is a guy who has a lot of exotic animals, many of them very poisonous, and he has heard that a lot of the snake handlers of Southern Methodists, I believe, somebody will yell, Methodists or Baptists, I can't remember
some
which
charismatic tradition.
Presbyterians,
of some sort.
I think, actually Presbyterian. They're not Catholics, I'll tell you that much. They have left the eye of the Pope. I know that much, but. They, talking about like, well, snake handlers get bit so much they, get a immunity, like, the iocane powder, which I'd be questioning because, we just had Fang Bang where a guy got bit by a snake and died immediately. So I don't know how much that's going to work.
I think, by the way, it's Pentecostals that you're looking for, Francis.
It was one of them. I knew we were...
Presbyterians are not generally charismatic Christians. They don't do the snake handling shit.
No, it certainly wasn't the Lutherans.
No.
So Love Bugged, our creepy reptile bug guy, decides like, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to have my Black Widow bite me, and so I can gain an immunity. And all the time, also, we're very overtly talking about how this guy wants to fuck the spider. Like,
that's right.
There is no disguising it. This man wants to fuck a spider, 100%. And instead, the spider ends up fucking him. Turns out, when you get bit by a Black Widow, you just die.
Yeah, and they have a toxicologist for this one who basically talks about the various stages of the poisoning that you will get from getting bit by a Black Widow. Is this the guy who keeps smiling all the time? I think it is, right?
Yes.
Which has this, I don't think he's trying to, but it does end up having this very disconcerting effect where like he's talking about the sort of stages of poisoning as you march towards your death, and he's just like grinning the whole time. Yeah. It just kind of reminds you of how like a lot of people who are, like surgeons, doctors, whatever, they're all psychopaths, but it's actually useful having them in these positions because they can channel that psychopathy to a societally productive end.
Well, it could be he's part psychopath. It could also be he's getting interviewed for a Spike TV show called 1000 Ways to Die. And they're like, so what would happen if you got bit by a Black Widow spider? And he's just like, all right, guys, sure. When is the check in the mail? Fine, let's do it. All right, so our final one is Tumble Die, where we go to an industrial washer dryer place. A man,
yeah, they go to the laundromat from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, they go to the big laundromat. Somebody jumps into one of the dryers. They have their lockout tagout procedure, but they lock out the incorrect dryer. And unfortunately, a gentleman is stuck in the giant dryer for, I think, 6 minutes and is very dead at the end of it. Kind of flops out when they finally open the thing up. And then the narrator tells us, like, this is like 10 to 20 people die a year this way. Holy shit. That's too many people dying in industrial dryers. Like,
so is that true? I immediately heard that. I was like, there's no way that's true.
I did not look that statistic up. I'm letting that one just live as it is.
You know what? That's great. That's like the classic kind of thing too, that like somebody tells you at a bar and you're like, oh, yeah,
That sounds feasible.
That's crazy.
I definitely feel like that could have happened. And then finally, we have Way to Live, which is paramedic Mike Staley, who is the guy who ends up getting smoked by a NASCAR. We get some great video of that. But I will tell you, there was a guy who did die in that accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Daytona racer lost his life in the accident. Now, here's the thing. I understand that they wanted to kind of push on Mike Staley here too, and Mike Staley has been on other shows talking about this. Like, okay, during this time, there was a lot of like ways to evade death, and all these different ways to not die, I guess. And so Mike has been on one or two others other than 1000 Ways to Die. But the Daytona racer's name was Slick Johnson, and I'm really pissed off they did not find a way to incorporate the fact that there's a guy named Slick Johnson also involved here. You got Fang Banged, you got Lesbocution, you should finish it up with Slick Johnson.
I would agree. But at the same time, you don't want to, poke fun at the dead. You don't want to make a joke at the expense of the dead.
It's true, but you shouldn't have named yourself Slick Johnson, homie.
You know what? You're not wrong. That is such a bulletproof point that you just made. I don't think that like his Christian name is Slick. No, I would assume at least.
It's Julius David. David Johnson III, but he goes by Slick.
Come on. Well, he went by. Yeah. Let's be clear here. Wait, so was Slick Johnson the guy who ran into this EMT, or was he just impacted elsewhere as part of this big crash during that race?
Elsewhere. He was not the one in that car, that specific car, but there were a couple of other wrecks that during that entire accident.
See, when I heard Daytona 500, I was like, oh my God, they are going to end the first episode of this series talking about Dale Earnhardt.
God, it would have been so fucking good. Like that would have been.
I really thought they were going to do it.
Now that's troop coded right there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about episode 2, which is named Hard Lives, Easy Deaths. And we start with Freeze Died, number 293. So this is a long setup for a death on this one. Like these are 20-minute episodes. This one takes up a full like 6 or 7 minutes of the episode of a young man who's working at a mob-connected meatpacking plant. And goes into the freezer, the deep freezers, which are at -10 degrees, and he gets locked in there and slowly freezes to death. And while like we get him slowly freezing to death, and we also get another forensic pathologist talking about what happens to the body when it freezes to death, vein constriction, slowing of the heartbeat, all these things. Well, we're also learning some things about our gentleman who got locked in here, such as he's been stealing sides of meat, and also he impregnated the 17-year-old granddaughter.
That was the best.
It shows a picture.
Yes. And the narrator is like, and maybe he shouldn't have impregnated the boss's 17-year-old daughter.
And then smash cuts to...
it's so good.
It's so, I don't know why they did this. I don't know.
This picture is one of the funniest things I have seen in a little while. This picture of this purported 17-year-old knocked up mob boss daughter.
Yeah, this has to be, I feel like it has to be doctored some way, but this is also, 2008. People, I'm not saying obviously Photoshop existed back then, but this picture of this 17-year-old girl looks straight out of a trailer park.
Not only does it look straight out of a trailer park, it looks like, Tim and Eric Awesome Show Great Job when they have the bizarre grotesqueries that they get on the show sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they will have photos of them that they then distort to make them look even weirder. Mm-hmm. That is what this picture looks like.
Yeah, it looks like there's just a few places they're like, what if we made this area just 10% bigger? And just threw that up. And then I threw it up. Jesus Christ.
And then I threw up.
That poor girl, she doesn't deserve that. No. She also doesn't deserve her baby daddy being frozen to death. I feel like this could have been a teachable moment, hey, we know what you're doing, buddy, but we're going to give you a chance to do better. But it's a mob connected meatpacking plant.
Yeah, and this guy was bad news. I just think this guy was bad news all over. Yeah, I mean,
if there's anything that I've learned from TV, it's you never want to do anything that is mob connected.
That's right.
All right. So then we also get a little bumper that also explains people sometimes think that people who are frozen to death were also victims of sexual assault. And the reasoning for this is because, once you get to a certain coldness, I guess, in your body's core temperature, you just feel hot and you take all your clothes off, which sure. But also, wouldn't it be oh, they took all their clothes off and they're on the tundra? What do you think happened?
Yeah,
do you think they were sexually assaulted by a polar bear out here, buddy?
That would not imply sexual assault necessarily. It's just that you're nude.
Yeah. And look, I get it. I don't like wearing clothes as much as the next person, but
hell, I'm naked right now.
That's why I didn't put video up. So our next one, dive bombed. We've got three friends who are having a good old time. They're obviously rich. They're very white. They're having a good old time because they went snorkeling and now they're going to go flying. And we're going to learn, Josh, that's a bad idea. You don't do those two things at the same time.
And what was interesting about this one is, again, to the point of how this show is occasionally actually educational, I did not realize the mechanics of how the bends work until I watched this.
Yeah, see?
I knew that decompression sickness was a thing, and that, if you are doing deep sea diving with scuba, you want to come up at a gradual pace so as to not be in extreme debilitating pain when you get to the surface. I knew about the hyperbaric chambers and all that they use to treat it. I did not mechanically realize, though, that it is surplus nitrogen in your body that ends up boiling in your blood if you come up too fast.
Yeah. Caisson's disease is what it was originally. I think they discovered it when they were working on the Eads Bridge here in St. Louis, that you can't be under that much pressure for a long time. You have to gradually come up. Otherwise, your head will explode in more ways than one. And this one ends with everybody dying. There's three guys. So they all go snorkeling. And then we learned about the bends. We learned about, coming up. And it sounds like they did come up to, they knew what they were doing. This is not their first time snorkeling. They went down 45 feet. And all the video that we get, some very great video. They had to spend a little extra money on a waterproof camera to really get this one going.
There's a very cute fish that they show at one point. This wonderful little orange fish.
Yeah, you get a little nature. Kind of walks you gently into the horrific way these three gentlemen are about to die. So they all come up and they're all fine. But one of the guys is also a Cessna pilot, and he's like, come on, guys, let's all get in my plane and we're going to go. And one of the narrator tells us, now, seasoned divers know that you shouldn't dive and fly on the same day. But they were flying in an unpressurized plane. They specifically say they went to 12,000 feet in an unpressurized plane. And then all of them immediately experienced the bends plus, all that, the nitrogen, which should have, dissipated while they're at ground level over a period of time, now comes raging out because you're 12,000 feet above sea level and you're about to get fucked. So we get a video of them coasting in, flying in, and then the cartoon explosion of it hitting the mountainside.
They were so proud of that After Effects explosion they did with the plane, by the way. I think they showed that clip conservatively 5 times over the course of the episode.
Look, there's an episode of Deadliest Warrior, which was the Viet Cong versus the Nazi Waffen-SS. Quite an episode, but the Viet Cong, one of the...
Viet Cong won, right?
No.
What?
Come on now. You know they weren't going to give that one to him. Look, it's not scientific. It's fine. But one of the videos they have of the people acting this out is a guy who, like, in the hat, I can't remember what those are, but, you know, the really racist Chinese hats that racist white people wear all the time, wearing that, taking the AK-47 and spraying the AK-47 up in the air. And I mean, like a field of fire that's at least 60 degrees. And there's a Huey helicopter flying that immediately explodes and crashes. They use that at least 3 times in the episode. Just be like, watch this shit. We're going to blow up a Huey. This is going to be great.
And sorry, I know I'm still hung up on the previous thing, but I just love the, I don't know, implicit messaging of this military force that defeated the army of the United States over the course of, you know, a decade or so. Like, yeah, maybe they could have beaten the U.S., but they couldn't beat the Nazis.
Right. And I mean,
the fuck?
Like, look, they're all of the, every time I do one of those episodes, I give all of my gripes. And the main gripe is the Nazis did not have weapons that were as good as what the fucking North Vietnamese army had. They would have crushed them immediately, especially if the Germans were in the jungle. Like, that's just, you know, if you put the Viet Cong in the hinterlands, yeah, they're going to be fucked. But nobody's coming into the Viet Cong's jungle. That's not happening.
Yeah, if the Viet Cong's like forward deploying to Austria, I don't think they're going to be doing too well. But that the whole reason they were able to beat us is that they were on home turf. Like,
exactly. See also Afghanistan.
Yes.
So our next one is
See also Iran? Question mark.
Our next one is decoffinated, where we are going to Haiti to find ourselves a voodoo doctor.
Oh, this is Hall of Fame bad acting in this one.
Fantastic. Yes, they 2 brothers are having a land dispute and one pushes the other one. So he says, fuck this, I'm going to go to the witch doctor and you're going to get fucked. So the witch doctor goes and he grinds some powder up and he runs up to the offending brother and blows this powder into his face. And it turns out that it is laced with a neurotoxin that is derived from pufferfish. So the guy is not dead, but he is paralyzed. And we talked to a doc. They found a doctor to talk to and sat his ass down in a sushi restaurant to talk about this.
Awesome. It's the same smiling guy from before, but this time he's right up at the bar, in like the actual sushi bar, in front of the chefs who are actively preparing sushi rolls as he speaks. It's so good. And
again, for me, if I'm that doctor, you guys buying rolls? All right, I'll do an interview.
Yeah, right.
You buying rolls?
Hey.
I'm here. I'll talk.
Look,
I'll talk to you about pufferfish. It's fine.
It's all you can eat sushi bar today, my friend.
So in Decoffinated, we have the funeral. We have everybody wailing at the funeral as our brother gets lowered down. And then like a couple days later, grave robbers come and they dig up the body and they find that he wasn't dead, but now he is dead. And they can see that he's been scratching at the inside of the coffin, trying to dig his way out. So he didn't die from the pufferfish, but he died of asphyxiation or starvation or something later on after the grave robbers tried to dig him up. So another M. Night Shyamalan twist ending here, much like we had with our first one, where he dies, but not in a way that you would expect.
I would straight up hate for this to happen to me. Not gonna lie.
Taking that, look, you're gonna log off for 3 days. Come here.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Wet Dream, where a German man, being very German, decides that fucking his fish isn't enough. He's going to go and become a fish. And so he creates a fish costume, a whole fish suit, and is going to...
Yeah, this is just a gimp suit. Like, let's be serious about what's going on here. Like a full body, full coverage latex suit. This is not uncommon. This is a pretty typical kink type thing. Let's call a spade here.
Yeah. And that's fine. You know, be the German freak that you want to be, but, you know, do a little research.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you get out of this safe and secure. So this one, the gentleman has created, as you said, a large green gimp suit with a fish mask that he somehow created.
He looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
I was about to say that. This is very much they went to the Spirit Halloween and found, they found the mask that just says underwater demon, and went with that. Looks like I'm looking at the trivia for this one. There's the actor who plays Dorf, who is the German, also plays another German in a segment called Chef Boy Are Dead. So maybe we will have to keep watching this. So our expert, he didn't drown. He didn't even get to the water. He encased himself in latex without any kind of like breathable, any way for his skin to breathe, any way for his body to cool itself off. Really, he should have put all this shit on closer to the lake. I feel like, because as they're showing it, they're like, okay, here he is. He's putting on, like, he's at some pavilions putting this stuff on. Like, oh, I better do this in the shade before I leave this life of air breathing behind me and join the fish as I see fit. So he's like getting it on. Maybe he didn't want to get sand in it. I understand. But as he's like, he puts the whole thing on, and then as he's trying to get to the lake, he collapses. And then we get video of him like inchworming his way closer and closer to the lake.
This is wonderful, just pathetic stuff. I feel like, again, to the point of how this show oftentimes misses the mark on finding the tone of these silly pieces where they have the dramatic reenactments. This one is pretty good. Like, because all he's doing is flopping around like a fucking worm. Yeah. And you just despise this man as you watch it.
Well, you hated him for, like, first off, he's German. So, that's already like 10 points against you. And then, of course, it's creepy German wearing a turtleneck and wire rim glasses.
Yes.
And then incredibly creepy German as he grins at a fish. And is just like imagining like one day we'll be able to fuck in the real world. And then he puts on his Spirit Halloween sewer demon costume and dies a few feet away from the edge of the lake before going in. Which I've got to wonder here. The interview I want are the people who found this guy and had to call and report it to be like, what the fuck did you think
that
happened?
Would suck. That would fucking suck to be the person who had to call this one in.
Like, I can't imagine it's ever good to find a dead body, but like to find a dead body of a German pervert in the midst of perversion has to be scarring. Like even like his dick wasn't even out, but it's still like that man was trying to fuck something in that. And I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't want that vibe. Even if he's dead, there's still like it radiates that creepy German fish fucker vibe comes off of him.
You would feel morally implicated just by the act of discovery, even though you have nothing at all to do with what was happening.
Exactly. That's one of those, you just keep walking and like, let that be somebody.
Not my bit. That can't be my problem today. I'm sorry.
I do not have it. I do not have the spoons for this, sir. I am sorry. I can at best roll you into the water and hope that helps. All right. And our final one is Fur Burger. We go back to the 2nd century for some reason, and we learn about executions, English style in the 200s, I guess, where everybody is like, this is pre-Bronze Age, but it's post-Roman. So like, these are all very savage people. So I have to imagine that these must be English. Nothing against you, English. I'm just talking about the history, and Rome didn't get to you in time because you were an island. It's not your fault.
This is also by this point in the show, I could hear my brain starting to go, boop, just like everything is starting to like blend together into one strange congealed blob. And this was only after watching 2 episodes of this. I can't begin to imagine what it would be like to watch like 4 or 5 of these back to back to back to back to back to back.
Man, Spike TV, just run it all. You gotta rotate other stuff in. You gotta rotate in like, Bar Rescue and Deadliest Warrior, and there's some rat cartoon that was voiced by Kelsey Grammer playing, I don't know, a lawyer or an accountant or something like that. You got to rotate it though, because otherwise,
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, you're gonna hurt some people if you watch too many of these in a row.
I mean, look, I'll watch as much Bar Rescue as my brain can stand, which is to say a lot. We even did a whole episode about Bar Rescue on the Worst of All Possible Worlds. That shit's great.
And then finally, we have our Way to Live with parachute jumper Shania Richardson doing her first solo jump. The parachute fails, the reserve doesn't quite deploy, and we get video of her boyfriend now husband, videotaping the entire thing.
Yeah, this was genuinely harrowing to watch.
It was
like this is a man who believes that he is about to lose the love of his life,
and it's his fault. He's the one. He's the jump instructor. And like, look, he didn't pack the chute, but of course, like that's going to be immediately going through your mind. It's like, if only I hadn't convinced her to fling herself out of an airplane, she wouldn't have died by flinging herself out of an airplane. So Shania spins in. So she hits a fucking parking lot, man, face first.
Yeah, very telling that they don't have any footage, like current footage of an interview with her, I will say.
I wonder about that, because, you know, they still speak as her as, you know, alive.
Right.
And I just wonder if it's like I really don't want to relive that, and I don't want to be a part of watching myself almost die again. You know, it's one of those things that, like, I bet she's like, I don't remember anything from that, and I don't want to remember anything from it. I know that it happened.
True, although
I don't want to be a part of it.
I mean, I will say, if you hit the pavement face first at 55 miles an hour, it's going to reshape your face, you know? And I would imagine that there was like some reconstructive surgery that had to happen on it. And I would imagine that she's kind of also probably some sort of lasting brain damage, and just in general, probably not the kind of person that you would want to look at, you know? Like, I think there's a very real shot that she does not look or sound like she did before the big accident.
Right. And this is only like being shot 2 or 3 years after the accident, because the accident happened in 2005. There's releases in 2008. Yeah, hit the ground 55 miles an hour. Also was 2 weeks pregnant during that time.
Oh my God.
Baby was not affected in any way. So
really?
Yeah. So,
well, I guess if it was 2 weeks,
it's a couple cells at that point.
Exactly. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, Shania, God bless you, man. I understand if you didn't want to be on 1,000 Ways to Die, especially since you didn't die. But thank you for giving us your husband to discuss it, because they did at the time. He's like, you know, my girlfriend, but they introduced him as her husband. So, you know, shout out to him not being like, whoa, babe. So gotta say,
shout out to the parachute shotgun wedding.
Yeah. But that was 1,000 Ways to Die.
It sure was.
We watched a few Ways to Die, not all of them real, and we watched some Ways to Live. Josh, how are you feeling about this?
Oh, I'm so inspired to live. I just want to go out and live every day. No, I love the fact that I'm going to immediately forget about all of this the moment that I stop recording, you know,
unless somebody asks you about what are the bends, and you're gonna be like, well, let me tell you something.
That's true. That's the one thing I think that I actually am going to remember, and that's kind of nice.
See, we didn't waste our time here watching bad TV. We learned something. And we got cool computer graphics and a weird snake guy to go with it, too. I would say that we lost more than we gained, but we did gain. So we're going to take the silver lining where we can find it.
Listen, we take gains where we can take them. You know, even when you go to the gym and you have the session where you're not able to even meet your baseline, but you have that one set where you do get a little bit higher, you take that. You consider that gain.
That's right. Josh, tell people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at I have a website, www.joshboerman.com. That's where I have links to all of the stuff that I get up to. You can follow me on Blue Sky at bosh.worstpossible.world. And you can listen to my podcasts, The Worst of All Possible Worlds, where we talk about case studies in the pop culture of a dying empire. Every week, a different piece of media. We talk about the narratives within, both what they're saying explicitly and implicitly, and how they either contribute to or forestall the decline of empire, mostly American empire specifically. And I also co-host a show called Ill Conceived, where we talk about natalism, the ideology that sees declining birth rates as the most important thing that is facing the world right now. This, of course, is not our position, but we are very interested in the people for whom it is. So if either of those sound interesting to you, you can get The Worst of All Possible Worlds and Ill Conceived in your favorite podcast client. And those are my plugs. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. Thank you for coming on. I hope your co-hosts are happy that I've already taken 1,000 Ways to Die off the plate. You guys don't have to watch it.
It's tough. It's really, I was like, fuck, we're not going to be able to do the 1,000 Ways to Die on our show anymore. No. And we were so excited to do it.
There's still so many. I've downloaded the entire first season. They're all yours if you want them, buddy.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Francis. I don't think I'm ever going to watch this show again, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
All right, Josh, then I'll find another Spike TV show for us to watch next time.
Oh, thank God.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Oh, someday. eyes.